All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Live Healthy Iowa Lunch Bunch webinar. Kyle Wagner here with Live Healthy Iowa. And today we have Terry Good and Elizabeth Sullivan with Personal Trainer in a Box presenting today. So I will let them take it over. They're very enthused, very excited to be leading us through this webinar today. So Elizabeth and Terry, with that, I will leave it to you. There is a chat link or a PDF link to wow, I'm struggling today. Link to a PDF in the chat box for those that want to follow along. I'm trying to share it on my screen as well. I know some were having issues with it, so should be able to see it on my screen too. But feel free to look at that as we go along. So go ahead, Terry and Elizabeth.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kyle. And thank you, Live Healthy Iowa, for letting us do this webinar. Enthusiastic would be putting it mildly. We get a little high strung sometimes because we do love our job and we love talking about wellness. And I think that we don't often talk about stretching enough when we talk about exercise. And so that we really wanted to take advantage of this time and be able to challenge ourselves and you in a way that may not have been presented yet this year. I know we're all focusing on a lot of habits going into the new year, and I think that stretching should be one of them. And so we're going to go over some stretching basics. What I love about the moves that we have today is they're not all your typical stretches. So you're not going to see like just the basics that you always see. We're going to show you a few different ones and then some adaptions that you can do with those as well.
Yes, welcome everybody. This is my house, and we wanted to make sure, I'm Terry, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys had a chance to see how a person could stretch kind of midday. Right now we're standing in my kitchen, and we're going to be filming both in the kitchen and in our living/dining room, because not just because of COVID, but because really we should be stretching more often. Most of us, I think, don't make time for it. If you're a go-getter and you're already a great exerciser, I know that a lot of times we have people that, at least in my gym, I'm a gym owner, at least in my gym, that if they have an extra 10 minutes, they want to do an extra 10 minutes on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Or they want to do an extra, oh, I could lift a little bit longer. And sometimes we just neglect to take the time to really stretch, which can lead to injuries.
It can lead to injuries, absolutely. And you know, there's so many benefits of stretching. I mean, it can improve your posture, it can improve your balance, it can improve your flexibility, it can improve your range of motion. I mean, it can prevent injuries if you're nice and flexible. So putting a couple of minutes of work into that is prevention in the long run. I mean, why would you spend 10 extra minutes on a treadmill instead of 10 minutes on stretching when you might slip and fall later that week, and then you're out on the treadmill for weeks recovering? So we really want to prevent future injuries as well.
Future injuries.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So for the purpose of today's webinar, we will be following along pretty much from the PDF that you guys have. If you don't have it printed right now, don't worry about it. Just take notes, maybe on a piece of paper, or you can rewatch the video too, because we'll be going through things pretty detailed fashion.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to tell you guys, remind you guys, is if you have a towel at home, a hand towel will work great for one of our stretches, but you could also use the jump rope or even a longer towel, especially if you have long legs. The goal of this webinar is to make sure we provide you with approximately a 10-minute stretching routine that you could do daily. We know why, because we want to really help you guys avoid injury. Also, if you're exercising, if you're just getting started, you might notice that you're a little more sore than you used to be, right? And so I personally find that when I'm sore, it keeps me from wanting to exercise. So that stretching can really help alleviate some of that, stretching and hydration, which we'll go into here in just a moment. But the other thing I wanted to mention to you is that the way we have this set up, it will make a lot of sense to you. We're going to show you 3 different exercises or 3 different stretches for 3 different major parts of your body. Now, we chose stretches that will work that will stretch the muscles around the ball and socket joints. So our bodies have hinge joints like our elbow and our knee. They just bend one way. And then we have the ball and socket joint, which rotates. So one of them is our shoulders, and that's where we'll start today. Another one is at our hips. See how things rotate. That's the ball and socket joint. Lots of muscles tied into that ball and socket joint. The third place, we'll start at the shoulders, go to the hips. The third place is going to be at your ankle. Okay, another ball and socket joint. Now you might say, well, why ball and socket? Well, like I mentioned, you have several muscles, more muscles that tie into a ball and socket joint than anywhere else. So these exercises are going to give you a big bang for your buck. All right. That's why we chose these particular ones. Now, when we start with shoulders, you're going to have that exercise 1. That's going to be a great stretch for beginners, intermediate, or advanced. We will progress those exercises or those stretches and make them a little more difficult for those people that feel like maybe that basic hold isn't really getting you where you want to be, if you feel like you could take it a little bit further. So we'll have 3 levels of each one.
Absolutely.
All right. So Elizabeth just spoke about the why. Good job on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Nobody likes to have an injury just because they didn't take a few minutes to stretch.
Yeah.
So that's really important. Another important thing though is other than stretching in general, we also want to make sure that we're hydrated while we're stretching. Now I know it's probably been driven into your heads over and over by now, hydrate, but I have a great example here I'm going to bring out in just a second, but I want to stress to you the importance and the detriment that dehydration has on your body. So the importance of making sure that your body is hydrated. Let me bring this over here. So I have sponges with me here. And a bowl of water. Perfect. Yeah, I might need you to hold that up in just a second. Okay. So this sponge is going to represent your muscles.
Okay,
And
muscles
this
that
is
are hydrated or not hydrated.
This is a very, very dehydrated muscle. Okay. So imagine this is your muscle when you have not drank your water for the day and you're going to slip and fall. Oh, did you hear that? See that? Things like that. Now, if you start drinking a little bit of water, what does that do to your muscle? So we have it all hard and slip and fall. But if you are hydrated, what that does to your muscle is it makes it flexible. It makes it pliable. It makes it adaptable. So this is, yes, you can twist it. You can do anything. It makes it so that your injuries aren't so bad. Okay. Now here I want to make a point of this. This is a dehydrated, well, this is hydrated now. It was a dehydrated muscle. I watered this yesterday. Okay. Today, it looks like this. Until you water it again. Same thing with drinking your water, same thing with keeping your body hydrated. Just because you had a glass of water this morning, it's about noon now, you should still be drinking water. Just because you stayed super hydrated yesterday does not mean that you're going to be hydrated tomorrow. Your body dries out rather quickly. So we want to keep it flexible with our stretches, but we also want to keep it hydrated because that is going to be the second factor into preventing injuries, into relieving muscle pain and stiffness and soreness and tightness. Water is going to be your best friend.
So are you trying to say that water is important?
Water is important, yes.
Just water is important. Matter of fact, I've been in the fitness industry for over 30 years, and I have to tell you, in our gym, whenever we have a challenge, our first weekly challenge is water.
Yes.
Why? Because your body's composed of over 80% water.
Yeah,
right?
your muscles have 80% water in them.
Right. So if you're dehydrated, we are more prone to injury, but also like in terms of weight loss, your metabolism slows down. I mean, water is the first thing we do when we have a challenge.
You know, it's really interesting because the more that I look into hydration, the more that it appears in spots that we wouldn't think, like things like brain fog or little tiny headaches or even joint aches. Oh, my joint hurts. Well, you know what happens when your body doesn't have water? It reaches into those joints where it's called synovial fluid. I know that's a little up here, but it reaches into those joints and extracts all the water that it can, and then it leaves your joints dry. So if you're getting foggy, if you're getting headaches, if you're getting joints, those are the very, very first signs of dehydration. Your urine color is going to be the best way to dictate if you're hydrated or not. That's all I can say on that.
What color?
Well, the lighter the better. I mean,
Yeah.
you really want it as close to clear as you can stand. And yes, you're going to be going to the restroom a lot, but hopefully you're going to feel a lot better. So it's totally worth it.
So as you can see, water is a key component in any stretching routine. It just like it plays into all the other challenges that we have in our Live Healthy Iowa challenge, but definitely for our stretching. So next up, we're going to talk about stretching and fascia.
Fascia. Yes.
So fascia is the connective tissue that's all throughout your body. It's connective tissue that makes the shape of a muscle. Okay. It holds the muscle together. You have intramuscular fascia. You have external fascia. You have subdermal fascia. Fascia is all the connective tissue that holds the whole body together. Okay. So we are going to talk a little bit about that, but not a ton, because today, I mean, it plays a role in your mobility, in your flexibility. But today we're going to talk more about stretching than we are just the fascial network. Just know that everything is connected, and that if you're at any point stretching something and you feel one particular tight spot, that might be a spot that would make a lot of sense to do some rolling.
Yes.
And we'll get into that just a little bit, touch on that today, and possibly our next webinar will be on rolling.
Yeah, we can delve deeper into fascia for sure.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to static stretching. What's static stretching?
So static stretching is there's basically three different categories of stretching. We're going to kind of break it down for you. Static stretching is one of them. And that's going to be, you're going to hold a stretch without the movement. So this is something that you'll want to do more after your workout. We're talking about sitting there, lengthening the muscle and then focusing on the hold for anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. You know, that kind of varies as far as how deep you want to hold it and how much time that you have. But static stretching is really important to do at the end of an activity. It doesn't have to be exercise, but any activity, you really want to take some time at the end and make sure to stretch those muscles out.
So then the other two types we have are dynamic and PNF. So dynamic stretching is the type of stretching, think of it as a moving stretch. And it's great to prepare your body for motion. It helps pump synovial fluid to your joints. That's your lubrication to the joints, assuming that you're hydrated, right? We're hydrated. We did do that. And then we also have another style of stretching. We're not really going to work on that one today because I'm assuming that you guys are going to be stretching all by yourselves. But PNF stretching is partner stretching. This would be a more advanced style of stretching that I would recommend to intermediate to advanced exercisers who, you know, may be stuck, or if a person, if you have a physical therapist, if you have an injury or something, your physical therapist might use PNF stretching. We won't be doing that today, but it's basically partner stretching where you actually push against the stretch, relax, and then take that stretch further. But definitely more of an advanced approach.
Yes.
So, but for the scope of this webinar today, we're going to be focusing on dynamic stretching. We're going to invite you guys to get up here in just a moment to do some warm up stretches. And then we're going to go into our static stretches. And those are the ones that we want you guys to practice. Personally, I do them at home at night while we're watching television.
That's the perfect time to do them. Yep. Especially if you're not getting it done in the gym, you got to get it done sometime. So why not at home?
Exactly. Yep. So 10 minutes a day. Okay. That's what we really want you guys to focus on.
Yeah.
All right. So shall we go into?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do some dynamic. A lot of this webinar is going to be based on static stretching, but we don't want to do any static stretching without your body being warmed up and flexible. We also want to make sure it's hydrated. Okay, so make sure you got some water in you, and then feel free to join us if you would like to. We're going to warm up the body, loosen up the joints a little bit here. Yeah, want to show us some?
So basic dynamic stretching, we're not holding our stretches for any more than 20 seconds, right? There has to be some kind of a time limit, right? But these are going to be even short, just 2 to 3 seconds at a time. So we're going to start with the knee up. So with the knee up, I'm turning my core on. I'm challenging my balance a little bit. If you wanted to, you could hold on to a countertop. Okay, you can hold on to a wall, and then we're going to practice just holding for a moment, doing a little shin grab.
You can hold the counter for these too if you need some balance.
Yep. And as you do this, if you've been sitting a lot, that kind of deactivates our core muscles. So you want to pull your pelvic floor up, pull your belly button into your spine, slightly tuck your pelvis forward. You could even do a little hold here and grab a little ankle mobility. Other side. Or you might still be doing that. And that's just fine too. All right, and then the next one is a heel kick. So with that one, you're just going to go side to side here. And we're activating our hamstrings and our core. You could practice a hold here.
You can also hold the counter for these as well. That's where the kitchen comes in handy.
Yeah, I do think the kitchen can be a place to stretch. Sometimes I like to stretch while I'm waiting for the microwave to finish cooking something. Coffee pot to finish going, the toaster to finish, you know, when you're waiting on things. Okay, so next up, lunges. Now, if you think lunges, oh my gosh, my knees, you don't have to do a deep lunge here. The whole idea is just step forward and reach your arms over. So this is going to not only warm up my upper body by reaching my arms overhead, but my lower body as well.
It's not a deep lunge at all. It's more just a step forward, and that extension is so key right here. Raise those fingers up.
The core strong. All right, and next up, we're going to add just a little bit of rotation. So with this one, I'm going to step forward. I'm going to rotate towards my front knee. and then push back. Getting my belly buttons into my spine here. I'm protecting my back as I rotate. If you're really cold, guys, you want to save rotation for the end of your warm-up, okay? Moving across the frontal sagittal plane, front and back, side to side. Best way to get started. Then you can add twisting at the end. Couple more. Really good. Glad we're doing this. I know. That's nice, right? Okay, nice. All right. So that is our really quick warm-up. So remember, we told you guys we're going to start from the top and work our way down. Shoulders, hips to ankles. So we're going to show you 3 shoulder stretches right now that you can start with today. And the first one is an elevated child's pose. Now, remember I told you, she just shut my ring light.
Sorry.
Girlfriend, go leave light, okay? I'm 47, man. Okay. No. Okay, so elevated child's pose. Now we'll show you child's pose. If you do yoga, we do have one on the floor. But the reason I like this one elevated is because I can do it anytime, anywhere, right? Because I might not have, while my microwave is finishing cooking for the last 30 seconds, I'm probably not going to walk over to the other room and sit down on the floor. But what I could do is just reach my hands overhead, put my ears right between my shoulders, pull my hips back, and just stretch out through my lats. I feel this in the back of my triceps, back of my arms, into kind of my armpits where my lats are, my belly buttons into my spine, my hips are straight back. I feel a little stretch in my legs, the back of my hamstrings, and my glutes. Okay, so that, my friends, is an elevated child's pose. All right, I'm going to send this over to Elizabeth now so she can show you guys a seated child's pose.
All right, I'm stretching in the living room now. I really like it. Personally, I like to do this form of child's pose in my bed, especially at night. Oh, it feels so, so good. So what you're going to do, you're going to get down on the floor, and here's where the towel will come in handy, especially a bigger towel. If your knees have a little problem, if you have problem like bending of your knees, go ahead and roll that towel up and we can place it just underneath so it eases up that tension here. But you're going to go on your knees, toes together, knees out, and go ahead and sit. And I want you to extend those arms forward. And we're going to and sit back into the hips. This is going to stretch the lats all the way through the lower back, all the way through the shoulders, and just relax into it. This is the next version of the child's pose. We also have another great lat opener here that Terry's going to show you. Hopefully I don't turn the light off again.
Okay, I'm far enough away to see. Okay, so our next chest shoulder opener is going to be a doorway stretch. Once again, a simple thing that you could do just about anytime, anywhere. I'm just going to place my hands and my elbows up against the wall or up against the door frame and just step forward. Now, when you're doing this stretch, right now what it's stretching is through my pec, through my bicep as well. When you're doing the stretch, the key here is not to jet your head forward. So a lot of times people will do the stretch and they'll go like this. So we don't want our neck to be pushed forward. We want to tuck our chin and just step forward. Okay. Now with this stretch, you can also change the position of your arms. So you can start reaching up a little bit more or down a little bit more to get a little better stretch. The other thing you could do if you wanted to stretch out your bicep or your arms a little bit more is just to straighten your arms and walk through the door. Once again, making sure we're not throwing our head, chin up, chin is slightly, or as parallel to the ground. All right. Now Elizabeth is going to show you shoulder roll. Now this one's a little tricky. It's a little more advanced. Remember we showed you level one, level 2, and here is level 3.
Okay, and then this is where Terry is going to step in and be the bomb and trainer that she is. She's going to help us out. I'm going to be on the floor demonstrating. She's going to help us a little bit. So
A little bit of
our
cute.
shoulder,
Okay.
is the shoulder roll or the overflow?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Open book first.
Okay. You guys see me?
Okay.
So we're going to have
She's
perfect. All right, we're gonna lie on our side, knees at an angle, and you're going to extend that hand out.
So she's getting a pre-stretch on her, she's lying on her left side. So if you're lying on your left side, by reaching your right hand forward, you're going to get a pre-stretch on the shoulder that's on the floor, the left shoulder.
Yes, I feel it.
Yeah.
Open it up, keeping those knees together.
And now we're going to make sure our shoulders are not shrugged up. Relax your shoulders, push them down towards your hip bones. And now what we've done is we're stretching through our chest, but we're adding some stretch through the top of the right oblique, side muscle here, okay? You might feel that a little bit in your low back. You might feel a nice stretch in your low back. A lot of my clients use this one if your pecs and your chest and shoulders are very open already. You might say, this doesn't feel like a chest stretch. It feels like my back. Well, remember what we talked about when we talked about fascia? Fascia is interconnected. It's an interconnected system in your entire body. So if you have one tight spot in your body, you might feel it in a different spot than someone else that might be tight in another spot.
Absolutely. So if you're tight, like say you have a side stitch, you're going to start walking differently on the other side, just like that. So that creates imbalances, and then your body has to overcompensate for it in other areas. And then that's when injury, pain, stress, things like that happen. So you want to make sure you get both sides evenly, just as well.
Okay. All right. Now the ultimate. Now this is a big pec shoulder stretch. Okay. So we're going to do shoulder roll. So if you've ever done yoga, this is a yoga move. And what we're going to do is we're going to have you lie down with your arms in a T position. Okay. So Elizabeth's got her arms in a T position here. Okay. Now she's going to bend her right elbow and her right knee. And she's going to send her right foot back behind her towards her left hip. Okay. Can you do that one more time? That looks perfect. I just want everybody else to see it. So get upside down. It makes you feel weird. Bend your right elbow and your right knee. Right foot comes back towards your left hip. Okay. Head is off the ground. She's going to reach her right hand up to the ceiling. Good. And it's very important that your head is off the ground in this stretch. Okay. Great. Right. And we're just going to breathe. Now, how long would I hold this stretch? Remember we said
static stretch. The time I should have held it 30 seconds to 2 minutes.
Yep, 30 seconds to 2
Yep.
minutes. My suggestion with the stretching routine we have today for you guys is to hold for 45 seconds at a time. And it's important that we breathe through our stretches. If your exhale is twice as long as your inhale, it stimulates your nervous system to calm down. Yes, so that's your parasympathetic nervous system. Is you inhale, your exhale lasts twice as long as your inhale. Okay. All right. So that, my friends, those are your shoulders. Those are your shoulder stretches.
Yep. Shoulders relaxed. You did really good in those.
All right. Moving on.
Moving on to
Hips.
Okay. Oh, this is a nice one. All right, Terry, come tell them about the important stuff.
All right.
Just go ahead and have a seat.
Yep. So this is our seated piriformis stretch. And so for the seated piriformis, you're just simply going to sit like almost like you're reading a newspaper. That's all you're doing. Okay. So where is your piriformis? Can you just point to where your piriformis is, Elizabeth? Kind of the outside of that hip, right?
Sorry. Yeah.
And we're going to have her flex. Yeah. It's kind of hard because you're pointing on the other side.
Oh, okay.
Yep. It's a deep hip stretch, hip muscle that, you know, if you have a tight piriformis, it can pinch your sciatic nerve, which is a nerve that runs all the way down the back of your legs. So if you feel tightness in that area, this could be a great stretch for you.
Mhm.
So the way to cue this is, yep, I want to make sure you flex at the ankle.
Flex the toes.
Yep. So dorsiflex, that means you're pulling the top of your feet towards your shin. So that dorsiflexion helps protect the LCL, the lateral cruciate ligament. So if you have knee pain or anything like that, it really does help protect the knee. And we're just going to lean forward into that stretch.
And you see what I did there? I just leaned a little bit, and then I can lean a little bit more. So you don't want to push your body too much. You want to relax into it. You're going to be slightly uncomfortable. You should feel a lot of pain.
Point of mild tension, not
Okay?
pain. If you're grimacing, it's too much, man. Back it off.
There you go.
Maybe you need to go get a drink of water. Right.
It feels so good. I don't want to stop. I know we have another one. though.
Yeah, we have to get both sides. It's okay to get both sides. I think everybody else is probably enjoying that stretch too.
Yeah, I'm just This is my break. This is a very simple one. I'm on a little bit of a higher seat. We also have lower chairs. So, you know, so my heel is up. I could probably get a little deeper if I were a little bit lower. So the height on what you're sitting might affect your strength.
So the reason I like this one, so we showed you the elevated child's pose where I was at the counter. This is another one. I mean, anytime you're sitting down, if you're sitting at your desk, you could take a pause, say every, I don't know, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, and
Every
do a
15
quick
minutes,
stretch. Yeah.
Stretch, absolutely.
All right, so now let's assume that you're at home watching television. Another simple way to get this hip stretch is to lie down on the floor. Alrighty. We're just gonna have Elizabeth cross her lie back. There we go, bend your knees and cross the right ankle over the left knee. Right, and then in this position.
Good. It's called the figure four.
Oh, yeah. So if you're lying on the floor right now, if you're lying up, you would see that your right knee is making a four. You can see that your leg looks like a four. Okay, so we're gonna have a little bit of round. So our level one on the stretch is simply to lightly press on the right knee. So she can use her right hand to press her right knee out. Okay, once again, you can flex at the ankle. That feels good to you. You can flex. Okay, so it's not putting a lot of tension on. Okay. Okay, so we've got our simple figure four. Now, if this feels super easy to you, if you have some pretty open hips and you want to go deeper in your hip stretch, she's going to take her right hand, reach between her legs to the back of her thigh. Do not grab your shin. Okay, you're going to grab the back of the thigh, not the shin. And then she's going to pull gently to pull her left leg off the ground. And then she can use her right elbow to push her out. Yeah, the stretch kind of looks like this stretch, right? But on the floor, she can get a little more leverage by grabbing that back thigh and pushing the knee down. Okay, so got it four. Reach through. She reaches right.
See how that elbow's kind of pushing in the elbow?
Very nice.
That feels really good too. I hope you're good.
Get both sides there.
Yes.
Take some nice, deep, slow breaths there. And
I
so
like
this
that
is going to be
you
your level
like
two. What? It's going to be your like your level two stretch, right?
Yeah. Yes. And breathe through. Remember, static stretch is about 30 seconds. For the sake of timing, though, for the webinar, that's why we provided a PDF so you can go back through on your own time.
Yeah. Yep. So our next one is called the world's greatest stretch. Okay. So that one, we're going to show you elevated first, but it can be done on the floor. The reason we wanted to show it to you elevated is that if you're really tight, it's a little easier to do if you have maybe a small bench, such as this one. Okay. All right. So we're going to have Elizabeth put her right foot up on the bench. And then she's going to kind of pick up her toes and rotate her pinky toes sort of out, and then place both hands on the inside of the instep of the right foot. So she's squared up, she stepped up, both hands are in front of her. Okay, so this is not quite the world's greatest stretch. This is more like a lizard pose if you're into yoga. And it's a great stretch. So I want to show you this broken down because she's going to add something a little more challenging to this by incorporating her upper body into the stretch by firing her rear delt. All right, well, let's go ahead. She's going to bring her right hand up and she's going to rotate and look up at the heel. This is a little more advanced. So if this one doesn't feel right to you, go ahead and bring your right hand back down. But we're just going to hold that and stretch. Okay. She's got her left foot up. She picks her left toes up and lets them fall to the side. Another way to increase this stretch is to really focus on dropping the right hip towards the left heel. Good. And her shoulder blade, her left shoulder blade is packed back and down. And then she's adding a neck stretch by looking up. So the gaze is always at the fingertips. Looks awesome. Good job.
And you can do it on the floor too, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see it on the floor. So this is basically a runner's lunge. You might hear it called a runner's lunge, lizard pose in yoga, but we're going to line up. There, thank you. And then currently Elizabeth has her knee on the floor, so that would be a level one. She can add intensity by picking her foot up. Now the weight of her body is creating leverage to rotate her hip and help open her right hip more because of the fact that her hip is rotated in towards her. Her left hip is rotated in towards her right. She is also demonstrating flexibility by picking up her toes. So that's going to help give the calf a little bit more of a stretch. Hey, Yeah.
That flexing really helps. All right, did you guys catch on to that? We're gonna have a little Q&A at the end, so if you do have questions, make sure to save them and we'll try to answer them for you.
Yeah, we can demonstrate them for you again.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so we showed you shoulders, we showed you hips. Okay, what's next? What's the other ball and socket joint? Ankle. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera just a little bit so that you can see our wall. Yep,
Perfect.
thank you.
All right, grab your towel. We have just a little hand one here for this one. Super, super, or you can use bands. If you have loop bands, those
Yeah.
would work as well.
Yeah, if you have a band or a jump rope, really just something to help you create a little deeper stretch here. All right, so now we're going to focus on ankles. This could be great. Stretching your ankles can really help if you have plantar fasciitis. Sometimes the tightness, remember, fascia is all connected. So sometimes the tightness comes from the calf or the ankle area. So right now we have Elizabeth, she's lying down flat. It's important that she's stretching her right ankle, but her left leg is flat. Okay?
Not like this.
Yeah.
Not like this. Here's the difference. You try it. Go for it.
Yeah, if you're super tight and your back hurts you, you could bend your knee if you're super tight. But ideally, your left leg will be straight. That way we can start working on mobility on both sides, right? We do not exist in a vacuum. All right, so she's also going to practice flexing and pointing. And then we'll do, that's a dynamic stretch there, right? Because she's moving. And then we'll do the hold. Looks great.
Okay, and my neck. What do you have to say
She
about
just
that?
relaxed her neck. Did you see that? I was about to say that. Yeah, so as you get started, right, your head might be off the floor, you're trying to see what you're doing, but when you go to relax into it, are you really relaxed if your head's off the floor? Go ahead and relax your neck into the ground and breathe into your stretch.
That's the thing about stretching. You do feel a little tense at first. And you think,
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
Love that. Affirmation. Good job. The other thing so right now we're stretching at the ankle, but we are stretching at the hamstring, right?
Oh,
So you might go, this is a hamstring stretch, lady, not an ankle. Right. But that's not necessarily true. If you want to bypass if you want to bypass your hamstring, just bend your knee more. Yep.
Perfect.
See how she has her knee bent? Now she's just focused more on her calf and her ankle. Yep.
She's so good.
No, but the straight leg is not bad either, right? That's what's really important is sometimes I'll have someone do a stretch with me and they'll say, what's it supposed to stretch? And I'll say, well, I don't know. What do you feel? Like, tell me what you feel, because what stretches one person in one spot might stretch someone else in a different spot, because maybe you're just more flexible in one spot than another.
And you might even feel it on one side more than another as well.
Good point.
Yes. So
Yeah.
would you recommend holding it longer on the side that you're feeling it more?
Good question. I usually have people go, let's say 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, you broke your left ankle. Chances are good that you might have some issues with your left side and that you need to stretch it more often, just because as it healed tight, right?
Yeah.
Or I'll have people that go to PT, but when they're done with PT, physical therapy, when they're done with physical therapy, they just stop doing the exercise, the stretches that their PT gave them. They're like, well, I went and I thought I was done. You're never really done, right? That's why stretching is so important. And I think that when you think of it in a cyclical way, like a daily thing that you do, and you make space for it, you stop fighting and you start encompassing it and bringing it into your life more.
Yeah, that's why it really should be a habit. I mean, just because I'm breathing today, just because I'm drinking today, doesn't mean I'm going to stop breathing and stop drinking water tomorrow. Same
Right.
thing with stretching. And so when it's done every day, it's really beneficial for your body. Yeah.
Or just because I started eating vegetables and eating more protein doesn't mean
One
I'm
time.
done when I.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to
never
keep
done.
doing it.
Right. Right. So very important, like I said, create habits, accept it into your lifestyle, and really, embrace it.
That's why I really love your tips with, like, if the microwave is going, every time the microwave goes, okay, that's my cue to stretch my insert
That's right.
stretch.
Yeah.
When the commercial is going on, say, Grey's Anatomy, I don't know if that show's on anymore. I'm just saying, when the commercial is on that particular show, that's when I do this. The next night is, let's say, Blue Bloods, and that's when I'm going to stretch my lats. I mean, you can make habits off of the ones that you already have. Habit stacking. I know you've seen that in the Live Healthy Iowa thing. I know you have.
#habit stack challenge. Okay,
The wall?
Yes. So we've got 2 more stretches to show you. So we showed you how to stretch your calf lying on the ground, right? Or your ankle. I say calf because my calves are so tight. I get calf stuff going on. So that's where my tightness is, but it's actually the ankle. It's that we're really targeting.
I think
Okay?
that's really great that you mentioned, because a lot of times where we feel our pain is not really where it's coming from. And so it's important to chase that to the joint.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, and yeah, it's key. Right? We need those ball and socket joints. If our joints are messed up, guys, we're not moving well. If we're not moving well, we stop moving.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
keep
you
that
don't
joint
do
healthy.
something that's painful or tight or stiff.
Right.
You stop moving it. And then it gets even tighter and stiffer and more uncomfortable. And so the way to start moving it more is to embrace some flexibility and stretching and all that.
I love it. Okay, so now we're moving on to the standing wall stretch. So we're going to show you a level 1 and then that level 2. This is going to be our 3rd stretch. Lying towels first, then the wall. Now wall stretch with knee driver. Okay, so the first 2 look a lot alike. So I'm going to do my best to make sure that we can really see what's going on here. Okay,
Oh,
so we're
boy.
going to have,
Getting
yeah,
closer.
yeah, sorry, dude. Okay, so we're going to start with our hands on the wall. And we're going to press back. And now Elizabeth has her left foot behind her. And she is stretching the left ankle. Okay. I think you guys can see. Let me know if you can't see, guys. Okay. I think that looks good. All right. So now she's pushing through her left heel to stretch her left ankle and her Achilles, all that good stuff, and her left calf.
Can I make a note of something?
Please.
real quick? When I first went into this, and I held it for just a few seconds, all of a sudden, I felt like my quad, my thigh relax a little bit.
Oh,
And so it's amazing how when you just give it a few seconds and your body will lean into it more.
I
You
love
might
that.
feel what I'm talking about. If you do, I want to know.
Yeah. Well, you said 30 seconds. This is why we're holding these, right? Like we're
Yes.
holding them for a longer period of time because we really want to create length in those muscles around the joint. Okay, so, yep, we're going to go ahead and switch sides. So this is just our calf stretch. Okay, now she's stretching out her right calf. Most of the weight is probably in the ball of her right foot. She's pressing some weight into her right heel. Her shoulders are down, her belly button's into her spine. And she's just breathing into this. Okay, so the next one looks a lot like a wall stretch, except we're going to do a knee driver. So the knee driver, I'm going to set this down. Okay.
Pay attention to the knee here.
This one is a little bit tricky. That's why I really want you guys to see this. So I'm going to give her looks. So she's going to keep her heel. She's going to let her heel come up off the ground a little bit. She's going to bend her knee. Okay. Heel is now off the ground. It's not that she has to have it off the ground. If you're flexible, it can stay down there, but I want you, if you're tight, to let your heel up. Now she's going to drive her knee out to touch my hand, just the knee, and then in to touch my hand. Good. So keep going, Elizabeth. Now notice she's driving her knee in and out. That is stretching all the way down to the calcaneus, that heel bone. Okay. Now notice her heel isn't moving. So that when you go to try to do this, it's not like you're moving, you know, like remember Sandra Bee when she took a puff of her cigarette, which she would never do. And then she threw it down and she went like this and she twisted on her ball of her foot. That's not what we're doing. Okay. Her
No,
heel,
let's show
her
us
foot
something.
stays the same.
So back here. Really want to be able to help you guys see. You want to put your hand to the side again so
Yep.
they can see that side to side part. So bend the knee, bring that heel back on the ground if you can. And then here. So my foot is staying very still, focusing on that knee joint. It's going to feel a little bit awkward,
It's weird,
but
it
you'll
is
know when
slick.
you're doing it right because your foot's not moving, only your knee is.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
yeah, make sure that you're not moving through the heel.
Mhm.
Cool, cool. So what she's doing is she's rotating those 2 bones. If this is her heel joint here, she's rotating her tibialis and her fibula along that joint in the heel. And that's stretching all of the muscles that tie in around the calf. It's one of my favorite calf stretches. I love that
and
part.
it felt so good too.
Yeah. Or ankle stretches. See, I said calf again. You know why? Because my calves are tight. All right. So, guys, we're going to get back into a position where we can do some Q&A with you guys.
Awesome.
Awesome. That was fun. Very interactive. We got a lot of great comments. on the tips and the stretches and everything, especially the shoulder stretches. So a lot of great comments. I really liked what you guys said about where you're experiencing pain isn't where the problem is. So a big one we get is lower back pain. And it doesn't mean the problem is your lower back, it's your hips, your hamstrings, something else. So that was the perfect way to say that. And I've always been looking for a great way to explain that to people. And that right there sums it up very quickly. So I really like that one.
So that open book stretch is a great one. A lot of times, like if you ask someone, hey, do you have a good stretch for your low back? Oh yeah, my physical therapist gave me open book for my back. However, it's like, well, where did that back pain come from? Did you have it all your life? What happened that caused it?
Mhm.
Typically, you're sitting at a desk and all of these muscles are really tight and you walk around flexible. I'm exaggerating. Of course, you don't do this, but it helps see if you could see it. If I'm flexed forward with my chest, it pulls my pelvis forward. Now, all of these muscles are getting pulled on consistently, right? So what's the best way to open them up? Lay down on the floor. It's a safe way to explore mobility.
Mhm. Yes.
One question we have so far, is there any of these stretches that you would not recommend for someone who has had hip replacement?
I would refer that person, if they've had a hip replacement, to check back with their physical therapist. I'm sure they're working with a physical therapist. Check back with their physical therapist or their doctor to make sure that that stretch is appropriate for that. Just like we were saying earlier about how everybody's body is different in terms of like, okay, I keep saying calf stretch because my ankle isn't where I feel that pain. Just like I showed you guys, like that I'm really forward like this, and then I go ahead and lie down and try the open book stretch. That particular stretch works for me because of problems A, B, and C. I'm not sure why that person had their hip replaced, so it's kind of hard to say for sure. Oh yeah, absolutely, everybody should do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so definitely get back to your doctor on that.
Another thing is when we did mention fascia a little bit, and that's that connective tissue. So often, like sometimes we think of stretching and we think of muscle. We don't really think of stretching and thinking of the connective tissue, and those are very different. So you've seen things like fascia blasters and foam rolling, and those target things differently than the stretches that we just showed you. Okay, so let me go into this a little bit. So if you imagine fascia, that's connective tissue, think of, have you ever been to the store and have you ever seen those Halloween spider webs where you can kind of break them apart and decorate, make it look like this big old spider web? Well, think of this like cobweb surrounding your body from your head to your toe. Your organs, your muscles, your skeletal system is all bound together by this cobweb system of connective tissue called fascia. And so when we stretch, we're stretching into the muscle. But when you work on things like foam rolling and a little bit of massage, fascia blasting, stuff like that, that is loosening up the binders of the muscle. And so another thing to explore, if you're not really feeling the stretching part, especially if you've had like hip replacement, might be looking into releasing some of that tension in the fascia. Here's a great example. So like I said, you've got that fake cobweb stuff at Halloween. Now you can take your time, you can spread it out and make it nice and thin. You'll also have some areas that are bunched up. And when they're bunched up, that's why we want to blast it. That's why we want to roll it out. That's why we want to stretch it out, because that bunched upness causes tension. You also have areas, if you pull it too much, it pops open. And that's when you have injuries like plantar fasciitis, stuff like that. That fascia has burst open a little bit. So it's really, really key to not just focus on stretching, but also explore other areas. Definitely consulting with your doctor, your physical therapist, but exploring other areas that might just release tension as well in the fascia area. Did that help any?
Yeah.
Were there any other questions? We can't really see them on our end here.
That's okay. We're happy. If you have questions, yes, go ahead and type them in the box. I don't see any new ones yet besides that. Will this be posted? Yes, we will post this on the website later today as long as technology allows. So far, our Zoom has been working well. So we do plan to get this posted yet today as soon as it gets uploaded on our end.
Perfect, that'd be great. We really enjoy doing this, and I think we might have an opportunity to do another one, but the questions really help us figure out like what you want. We'd love to help you with whatever you want. So we just went into a little bit about fascia and foam rolling. We are partnering with Roga for another program with Trainer in a Box, and that is going to be stretching and foam rolling. That's going to include a lot of what we covered today, as well as basics. And they've got a special, do you want to show them what the roller looks like? They've got like a special foam roller with different contours.
So it helps just get into the muscle tissue in a way. I don't use any other roller than this. I really like this roller. If you have a roller at home, you don't need to go out and buy a new one, but rolling can really, really help. What I was gonna say, I kind of had a little whoop. You guys, my cat's trying to get inside. She's distracting me. I apologize. You know what it's like. You know what it's like when your animals are at home trying to do a Zoom call. She's mad.
I feel like she's knocking.
Yeah, she's very irritated. So that's why when you were talking about fascia, I'm like, yeah, that. Go away, Chloe. Sorry. But no, with the fascial, the thing about fascia that I think is important to note is that if you do have an area that you have been trying to stretch and you try and it doesn't seem to loosen up, that's where you really want to get some help addressing fascia. And whether you do it at home with a foam roller or you visit with a licensed massage therapist or a physical therapist, that is your next step. If you've been trying to stretch something, here's the thing. Fascia is sticky and it likes to stay where it lives.
That's why I'm saying
So
cobwebs. It's all over and it's just gonna.
And if you stretch it for one day, it'll be longer. And then the very next day, or even like within a few hours of walking around, it tightens back up. That's why you really have to get after it. And if this seems like a bit much, I highly recommend that you do visit with someone about getting a sports massage. Ask someone, if you're working with a massage therapist, you could ask them, do they do fascial release, fascia release, fascial release?
Yes.
Or you can learn how to do it at home with a foam roller.
Yeah. So that's why we kind of covered part 1 of 2 in a sense. So if you'd like to learn more about that, we've got a lot of tools in our toolbox as far as fascia release and foam rolling. Just let us know. Maybe we can do that on our next webinar.
Yeah. Or if you want to see a workout, or like that.
Yeah,
we
whatever
love
works.
that stuff. We do workouts all the time. I just feel like this is I can tell you, even as a person who loves to exercise and lift, I'm 47. I've got some joint stuff. I've got some funky feet. I've got bad feet. I've got like a plate in one. And I can tell you that the key to making me want to exercise more is soft tissue work, is stretching and myofascial release. And I feel like if I didn't love fitness, those pains would prevent me from wanting to exercise at all. And it's so productive that I feel like it's kind of like the little hidden secret to longevity. It really is. So that's why we're a little obsessed with fascial health and stretching.
Yeah, and you can feel that. You can feel like what your muscles do after a workout. So it's really important. If you ever had a really, really good leg day and then 24, 48, 72 hours later, it's hard to walk up the stairs. And if you press on your legs, it feels like a little bruise everywhere. Well, that toxins that are released into all of that tissue. And so it's really nice to just kind of
Massage it out.
Massage it out.
Water
Stretch
to
it out.
flush it out.
Water and stretching, water and stretching. But we don't want that sort of pain to prevent you from doing another leg day. And so it's really important to compound healthy habits on top of the ones that you're already starting to build. You know what I mean?
Well said.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh,
You guys recommend like the massage guns that they sell?
Oh, for sure. Yep.
yeah, that'll do it.
Yep. I have one back right over there in the corner. Yeah. Vibration is also very good for your lymph nodes. So it's, and vagal nerve tone. I mean, we could really get into a big longevity talk with it.
Here's the rabbit hole.
Yeah, for sure. Those guns are fantastic.
I think the part of the key with what you just said and with the Roga and with the stretching is if you're gonna do it, do that. If it works for you, do that. If you need to try something new, then try something new. But if you have a gun or if you've been wanting to get into a fascia blast thing, then that's what you do. Yeah. As long as you're doing it habitually and repeatedly, then do that.
I bought one probably a year ago, and I feel better at 27 than I did at 20. So it's strange, like you said, just finding new ways to work the fascia, work the tissue, and to recover faster. And I think it makes
Yes.
a huge difference.
Yes, very much so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I don't see any more questions. The recording will be posted on your dashboard on the bottom right. There's a toolkit section. Once we get it uploaded, we will post it there. But I don't see any other questions, just more great comments, very thankful. So thank you to both of you. With that, we'll conclude today's webinar and already looking forward to the second one that you both will do. I can't remember if it's February or March, but I'm already looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, let us
Thank
know
you
what you
so
want
much
to
for
hear.
having us. Yeah, let us know. Let us know if you have any requests. We get excited.
Yes,
if you talk
absolutely.
about anything fitness.
And also, I think we're in your email box, thanks to Live Healthy Iowa, like, once a week, maybe twice a week. So if you have questions that are not even pertaining to this or to a next webinar, just questions in general, feel free to send them on over to Live Healthy Iowa. They'll get them to us, and we'd love to answer any of your questions.
Absolutely.
And I do want to mention real quick, you saw how amazing Terry was at queuing, and she is even more amazing in her gym. So if you're looking for some like actual in-person training, they have a very safe environment right now. She owns Infinity Training Center here in Johnston, Iowa. And so if you're looking for somebody to motivate you and get you to that next level in person, go ahead and give her a visit. Like, I adore her, and she's so good at what she does.
Thanks.
I just wanted to say that here.
Thank you both. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and we will get this posted shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kyle.